The Zarkax vessels appeared in Earth's orbit on a quiet Tuesday morning, their crystalline ships refracting sunlight in mesmerizing patterns across the sky. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the United Nations Space Command Center, her heart racing as she watched the first transmission from the alien vessels decode on her quantum computer. After 15 years of searching for extraterrestrial intelligence, humanity had finally made contact. The aliens called themselves peaceful explorers, traders of knowledge and technology. Their initial messages spoke of unity, advancement, and shared prosperity. World leaders gathered in Geneva, welcoming the Zarkax ambassadors with open arms. The visitors brought gifts, clean energy solutions, medical breakthroughs, and the promise of faster-than-light travel. Dr. Chen led the scientific team assigned to work with the aliens. She spent months studying their technology, marveling at their apparent generosity. But something didn't add up. The quantum encryption patterns in their communications contained hidden layers she couldn't decipher, and their interest in Earth's mineral deposits seemed excessive for mere scientific curiosity. "The numbers don't make sense," she told Admiral Marcus Hayes during a private meeting. "Their energy requirements for these peaceful ships are off the charts. They're building something big, and they're using our resources to do it." The Admiral frowned, studying the data on his holographic display. "Do you have proof?" "Not concrete evidence, but patterns. They've established mining operations on every continent, always near major population centers. Their ships are positioned in a grid pattern around our planet that matches military containment formations we've theorized for planetary defense." Before Hayes could respond, the facility's alarms blared to life. On every screen, the Zarkax ships were powering up their weapon systems. The crystalline vessels that had seemed so beautiful now pulsed with an ominous red energy. The attack began without warning. Energy beams carved through Earth's primitive defensive systems like paper. Major cities worldwide reported massive excavation machines emerging from hidden compartments in the medical facilities the Zarkax had built. They weren't just attacking, they were harvesting. In the chaos of that first hour, Dr. Chen realized the terrible truth. Every gift, every technological advancement they'd shared, had been carefully calculated. The clean energy systems, they'd mapped Earth's power grid, the medical facilities, forward operating bases, the cultural exchange programs, intelligence gathering. Admiral Hayes mobilized what forces he could, but Earth's military hardware seemed primitive compared to the alien weapons. Yet in those desperate first battles, humanity revealed something that gave the Zarkax pause: adaptability. When conventional weapons failed, Japanese defense forces repurposed civilian construction lasers to penetrate alien shields. Indian engineers discovered that modified microwave transmitters could disrupt their communication systems. Brazilian pilots found that their older, primitive jet fighters were harder for alien targeting systems to lock onto than modern automated craft. Dr. Chen worked tirelessly with a global team of scientists, analyzing every scrap of data from each engagement. "They expect us to fight like them," she realized, watching footage of yet another failed frontal assault by the Chinese military. "But we need to fight like us." In the smoking ruins of New Delhi, Colonel Aisha Patel demonstrated this principle perfectly. Her forces used the city's ancient tunnel networks to outmaneuver alien ground forces, proving that centuries-old warfare techniques could still be devastatingly effective against a technologically superior enemy. The first month of the war was devastating. Billions died, cities burned, and humanity teetered on the brink. But they didn't break. Instead, something remarkable happened. Humanity united. Ancient rivalries were forgotten as nations pooled their resources and knowledge. Every failed attack provided new data. Every defeated unit offered insights into alien technology. Dr. Chen's team made the first breakthrough. The Zarkax shields operated on predictable frequency patterns. They were incredibly powerful but inflexible. They couldn't adapt quickly to multiple different types of attacks. This discovery led to the first major human victory in Jakarta, where a combination of electromagnetic pulses, sonic weapons, and conventional explosives overwhelmed the alien defenses through sheer variety of assault. As the first part of the war drew to a close, humanity had lost much but gained something invaluable: purpose. In his famous Forge Ahead speech, Admiral Hayes addressed the remaining population. They thought they found an easy target, a primitive species ready for harvest. Instead, they found humanity, adaptable, resilient, and now united in rage. They wanted our resources. Fine. Let's show them our most valuable resource: human ingenuity. The Zarkax had made a critical mistake. They had judged humanity by their level of technology, not their potential. As survivors gathered in hardened bunkers and hidden bases across the globe, the greatest industrial and scientific mobilization in human history began. The aliens had revealed themselves as enemies, but they had also given humanity something dangerous: a reason to set aside their differences and focus their legendary adaptability on a single goal: survival. The war was far from over, but the rules had changed. Humanity wasn't fighting for victory anymore. They were fighting for existence itself. And humans, as the Zarkax would soon learn, were at their most dangerous when backed into a corner. 3 months after the initial invasion, the underground facilities of the former Detroit automotive complex hummed with newfound purpose. Where luxury cars once rolled off assembly lines, massive particle accelerator components now took shape. Dr. Chen watched from the observation deck as robotic arms, reprogrammed with remarkable speed, assembled what could be humanity's best hope for survival. The beauty of human manufacturing, Director Marcus Zhang explained beside her, isn't in its sophistication, but in its flexibility. He gestured to the sprawling factory floor below. The Zarkax build everything to perfection, but they take years to retool a production line. We just converted this entire facility in 6 weeks. The Detroit complex was just one example of humanity's industrial awakening. Across the globe, surviving manufacturing centers had undergone similar transformations. Shipyards in Singapore now produced armored combat vessels utilizing hybrid technology. Human ingenuity married to reversed engineered alien tech. Brazilian aircraft factories churned out fighters equipped with gravity manipulation systems based on salvaged Zarkax components. But the most promising development sat before them now: the quantum integration engine. Dr. Chen's team had discovered that Zarkax technology relied heavily on quantum-locked crystalline matrices, incredibly powerful but rigid in their programming. Human computers, while less advanced, could be reprogrammed on the fly. The latest test results are in, Zhang announced, pulling up a holographic display. The QIE successfully interfaced with the salvaged Zarkax shield generator. We can now not only penetrate their defenses, but adapt our frequencies in real time. Dr. Chen studied the data, allowing herself a small smile. The Zarkax had expected humanity to take generations to understand their technology. Instead, human scientists had taken their greatest weakness, their primitive adaptable systems, and turned it into their greatest strength. In the secured bunkers beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Hayes reviewed the latest production figures with growing satisfaction. The global manufacturing network, dubbed the Arsenal of Terra, was exceeding all expectations. Factories running around the clock produced weapons that merged human creativity with alien tech. Each failure, each setback, led to new innovations. The breakthrough in Australia demonstrated this perfectly. Engineers at the Sydney Underground Complex discovered that outdated analog systems, when combined with Zarkax quantum tech, created unpredictable energy signatures that confused alien targeting systems. What the Zarkax saw as primitive technology became a crucial component in humanity's electronic warfare capabilities. But the greatest transformation wasn't in the technology, it was in the people. Former software developers became weapons programmers overnight. Auto mechanics learned to service gravity drive systems with remarkable speed. The human capacity to learn and adapt, to take skills from one field and apply them to another, proved invaluable. Colonel Patel, now heading the Global Defense Forces Tactical Division, put it best. The Zarkax think in straight lines. They see a problem. They apply their most advanced solution. We think in circles, spirals, and zigzags. We take the simple solution and make it work in ways they never imagined. This philosophy led to the development of the Steel Swarm Doctrine. Instead of trying to match the Zarkax ship for ship, humanity built smaller, more numerous vessels. These ships, piloted by humans augmented with neural interfaces, could operate in chaotic patterns that alien targeting systems struggled to predict. The first test of these new capabilities came sooner than expected. Zarkax mining operations in the Ural Mountains detected the manufacturing buildup and launched a preemptive strike. They expected to find primitive facilities attempting to copy their technology. Instead, they encountered something unprecedented. Hybrid defense systems, combining human-designed projectile weapons with Zarkax energy tech, emerged from hidden bunkers. Swarms of semi-autonomous drones, guided by human pilots safely housed deep underground, engaged the alien forces with unpredictable tactics. When the Zarkax adapted their shields to counter energy weapons, the humans switched to kinetic projectiles. When they reinforced against physical attacks, the humans employed electromagnetic pulses. The Battle of the Urals marked a turning point. For the first time, humanity didn't just survive a Zarkax assault. They repelled it. The alien forces retreated, leaving behind valuable salvage that would further accelerate human technological development. Dr. Chen stood in the Detroit Complex's command center, watching the battle telemetry with tears in her eyes. We're not just copying their technology, she realized. We're making it better. We're making it human. The arsenal of Terra continued to grow. Each factory, each laboratory, each testing facility added to humanity's burgeoning war machine. But unlike the rigid, standardized production of the Zarkax, human manufacturing remained flexible, innovative, and most importantly, unpredictable. As Admiral Hayes often said, they gave us the tools to forge our own destiny. Now let's show them what humanity does best. Take something designed for one purpose and use it in ways no one ever imagined. The awakening of humanity's industrial might have begun. The Zarkax wanted a harvest world. Instead, they had created something unprecedented, a species that could take their own technology and transform it into something new, something uniquely human, something that would soon make the invaders regret their choice of targets. The lunar surface glittered with the reflected light of 1,000 manufacturing complexes, humanity's first major off-world industrial base, hidden on the dark side of the moon, had grown from nothing to a sprawling facility in just 6 months. Fleet Commander Maya Rodriguez stood at the observation dome of Lunar Command, watching as the first wave of humanity's counteroffensive took shape. Strike Fleet Alpha is ready for launch, her XO reported. All ships report hybrid systems functioning at optimal levels. The fleet represented everything humanity had learned and developed since the invasion began. Each vessel combined salvage Zarkax technology with human innovations in ways the aliens had never considered. But their greatest advantage wasn't in their ships. It was in their tactics. The Zarkax still think we're predictable. Rodriguez briefed her command staff. Their orbital patterns show they expect us to defend, to turtle up around our remaining resources. They're not prepared for us to strike first. The target was ambitious. A major Zarkax mining operation in the asteroid belt. Intelligence gathered by Dr. Chen's quantum monitoring network suggested the facility was a crucial link in the aliens' resource supply chain. More importantly, it was where they stored their quantum computational matrices, the heart of their technological advantage. The attack began not with a massive frontal assault, but with what appeared to be a catastrophic accident. A seemingly damaged human cargo vessel, leaking radiation and broadcasting distress signals, drifted into the facility's space. The Zarkax, following their rigid protocols, moved to intercept and contain what they saw as a potential environmental hazard. They never detected the quantum disruptors hidden within the ship's cargo holds, designed by Dr. Chen to match the signature of common industrial waste. When the ship reached the facility's main docking area, the disruptors activated, creating a cascading failure in the aliens' quantum network. In the chaos that followed, Strike Fleet Alpha emerged from hiding places throughout the asteroid belt. The ships moved in seemingly random patterns, their hybrid drives allowing them to maneuver in ways the Zarkak's targeting systems couldn't predict. Former street racers and stunt pilots, now trained as space combat pilots, flew their vessels with a creativity that bordered on insanity. Colonel Patel's tactical innovations proved their worth. Instead of engaging in traditional space combat, human ships fought like guerrilla warriors in 3 dimensions. They used asteroids as cover, appeared from unexpected angles, and never stayed still long enough to present a clear target. The Zarkaks responded with their usual methodical precision, forming defensive lines and concentrating their fire on predicted intercept points. But humans didn't move how the aliens predicted, ships that should have zigzagged instead. Formations that appeared to be attacking one target suddenly split and struck another. "They're still fighting the last war," Rodriguez observed as she watched the battle unfold. "They've adjusted their shields to counter our hybrid weapons, but they haven't adjusted their tactics to counter our unpredictability." The battle's turning point came when the facility's quantum matrices were secured. Dr. Chen, operating from a heavily modified science vessel, began the delicate process of accessing the alien databases. What they found exceeded their wildest hopes. Complete technical specifications for Zarkak's shield systems, weapons, and FTL drives. But more valuable than the technical data was the psychological impact. The Zarkaks had never lost a major facility to a lesser species before. Their response revealed volumes about their military doctrine and their weaknesses. "Look at their reinforcement patterns," Patel noted during the post-battle analysis. "They're perfectly organized, perfectly spaced, and perfectly predictable. They're so focused on maintaining optimal formation that they're missing tactical opportunities." The victory changed everything. Humanity now had proof they could not only fight back, but win. The captured facility was quickly converted into humanity's first major off-Earth production center, using the very machines the Zarkaks had installed to produce weapons that would be used against them. But the real victory was in what they learned. The Zarkaks, for all their technological superiority, were inflexible. They fought according to doctrines and protocols developed over centuries of success. They had no concept of improvisation, no understanding of the human ability to adapt tactics on the fly. As the fleet regrouped and began fortifying their new position, Dr. Chen made another crucial discovery. The quantum matrices contained more than technical data. They held the Zarkaks' complete tactical database. Every strategy, every formation, every response protocol they had developed was now in human hands. "They've never deleted anything," she reported to Admiral Hayes. "They've never needed to. Their strategies have worked for so long that they've never considered the need to fundamentally change them." Rodriguez stood on the command deck of her flagship, watching as human workers began transforming the captured facility. Where the Zarkaks had built everything to precise, unchanging specifications, humans were already modifying, improving, and adapting the alien technology to serve new purposes. They thought their greatest strength was their technological superiority, she mused. But they never understood that technology is just a tool. It's how you use it that matters. The counteroffensive had begun. Humanity had proven they could take the fight to the enemy, and in doing so, they had discovered something crucial. The Zarkaks' greatest weakness was their own success. They had never needed to adapt, to improvise, to think outside their carefully constructed protocols. That was about to change. Humanity was coming, and they were bringing centuries of hard-learned lessons in warfare, adaptation, and survival with them. Lieutenant Sarah Rivera crouched in the control center of what had once been a civilian mining station in the Kuiper Belt. Now transformed into forward operating base Prometheus, the station was humanity's furthest outpost from Earth. Through the quantum-enhanced sensors, She watched a Zarkak's battle fleet pass nearby, oblivious to their presence. "Stealth systems holding steady," her technical officer whispered, though the aliens couldn't possibly hear them. "They still haven't figured out how we mask our quantum signatures." This was humanity's newest advantage in the evolving war. Dr. Chen's team had discovered that the Zarkaks relied almost exclusively on quantum detection systems, having long ago dismissed more primitive scanning methods as obsolete. By combining old-school radar and thermal masking with quantum disruption fields, humans had achieved what the aliens thought impossible: true stealth in space. The past year had seen the war transform from a desperate fight for survival into something the Zarkaks had never experienced: a war of innovation. Every battle, every encounter, spawned new tactics and technologies as humans continuously adapted their strategies. Admiral Hayes had dubbed it the Innovation War, and the name stuck. While the Zarkaks still fought with their traditional tactics and technologies, humanity's approach to warfare evolved almost daily. Ships that were cutting edge one week were obsolete the next, as engineers and scientists constantly improved and modified their designs. The fleet passing by Rivera's station was a perfect example of the aliens' unchanging nature. Their formation was identical to those seen in the first days of the war, their shield frequencies unchanged despite repeated human breakthroughs in penetrating them. They had responded to defeats by simply building bigger ships with stronger versions of the same technologies. "Contact from Tactical Command," her communications officer reported. "Operation Chemered is greenlit." Rivera smiled. The operation represented everything humanity had learned about fighting the Zarkaks. Instead of meeting their powerful ships head-on, humans had developed what they called hybrid warfare in space, a combination of conventional tactics, psychological operations, and technological warfare that exploited the aliens' rigid thinking. The first phase began with a series of quantum ghosts, false sensor readings that made it appear as if human ships were attacking from multiple directions. The Zarkaks responded exactly as predicted, splitting their forces to intercept threats that didn't exist. "They never learn," Rivera mused. "A human commander would have noticed the pattern by now, would have adapted. But they just keep following the same response protocols." The second phase demonstrated humanity's newest innovation: quantum-shifted weapons. Based on principles discovered in the captured alien database, these weapons could change their quantum signatures mid-flight, bypassing shields calibrated for specific frequencies. The Zarkaks, who had never considered that their fundamental technology could be used in such a way, had no defense against them. But the true genius of Operation Chimera lay in its third phase. As the alien fleet struggled to deal with the quantum ghosts and shifted weapons, hundreds of small, stealthy craft approached their ships. These weren't traditional warships but converted mining vessels, their industrial cutting lasers modified to serve as weapons. They're so focused on defending against what they consider proper military technology, Colonel Patel had explained during the operations planning, that they overlook the potential of industrial equipment. They don't expect us to weaponize civilian tech because they would never do it themselves. The results were devastating. While the Zarkaks crews focused their attention on their sophisticated sensor readings, trying to distinguish real threats from quantum ghosts, the modified mining ships attached themselves to their hulls. Industrial cutting lasers, originally designed to break down asteroids, proved remarkably effective at breaching capital ship armor. Dr. Chen, watching the battle from her research station near Saturn, noted every response, every tactic the aliens employed. "They're still fighting according to their original tactical database," she reported to Admiral Hayes. "Even after all this time, all these losses, they haven't fundamentally changed their approach." This inability to adapt had become the Zarkaks' greatest weakness. Their technological superiority, built up over centuries of unchallenged dominance, had become a psychological prison. They couldn't conceive of fighting in any other way than what their doctrine prescribed. Humanity, in contrast, had turned adaptation into an art form. Every engagement yielded new data, new ideas, new possibilities. Scientists and soldiers worked together, breaking down traditional barriers between research and combat operations. Ideas that would have taken the Zarkax years to approve and implement were tested in battle within days of conception. As Operation Chimera concluded, with the alien fleet in retreat and multiple capital ships captured for study, Rivera received a transmission from Fleet Command. The quantum matrices recovered from the captured vessels revealed something unprecedented. The Zarkax were actually modifying their base code, trying to understand and counter human unpredictability. They're trying to adapt, Dr. Chen announced in a global broadcast. But they're doing it the only way they know how, by writing new protocols, new rules, new rigid responses. They still don't understand that our strength lies in our ability to operate without such constraints. The innovation war had entered a new phase. The Zarkax, for the first time in their history, were being forced to change. But change, for them, was a slow, methodical process. Humanity, born of evolution and shaped by constant adaptation, was already planning their next innovation, their next unexpected tactic, their next impossible strategy. As Rivera watched the remaining alien ships retreat, she couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Humanity hadn't just survived the Zarkax invasion. They had forced one of the galaxy's most powerful species to question their most fundamental assumptions about warfare, technology, and progress. The massive holographic display in Earth Defense Command showed thousands of Zarkax ships emerging from faster-than-light travel. The largest alien fleet ever assembled filled the space between Mars and Jupiter, their crystalline hulls blazing with energy signatures that surpassed anything previously recorded. Admiral Hayes stood with Dr. Chen and Commander Rodriguez, watching as the final battle of the war began to take shape. After 3 years of continuous combat, the Zarkax had committed their entire regional force to one decisive engagement. They're desperate, Dr. Chen observed, studying the quantum readings. They've modified their ships extensively, trying to counter every tactic we've used against them. But look at the modifications. They're just more complex versions of their existing technology. The aliens had learned from their defeats, but they had learned the wrong lessons. Instead of embracing adaptation and flexibility, they had tried to solve their problems with brute force and increased complexity. Their ships now carried multiple redundant systems, each designed to counter a specific human tactic. They still don't understand, Rodriguez said, shaking her head. They think if they can counter all our known strategies, they'll win. They don't realize that we'll just create new ones. Operation Prometheus, humanity's response to this final Zarkax offensive, demonstrated this truth perfectly. Instead of meeting the alien armada with their own fleet, Earth's forces had prepared something unprecedented. Throughout the asteroid belt, thousands of quantum resonators had been hidden, each one designed to interact with the others in ways that created unpredictable energy patterns. Begin Phase 1, Hayes ordered. The resonators activated simultaneously, creating a quantum interference pattern that spread across the solar system. The Zarkax ships, their sensors heavily dependent on quantum readings, began receiving conflicting data. Space itself seemed to twist and distort around them, their sophisticated targeting systems unable to distinguish real threats from quantum ghosts. But this was just the beginning. As the alien fleet struggled to make sense of their sensor readings, humanity revealed their masterstroke. The captured Zarkax facilities throughout the solar system, which the aliens believed were being used to produce weapons, had instead been manufacturing something far more dangerous: quantum AI cores. These cores, based on Zarkax technology, but programmed with human creativity and adaptability, began broadcasting directly into the aliens' command and control networks. Instead of trying to hack or destroy their systems, the AI cores engaged in what Dr. Chen called quantum dialogue, introducing elements of randomness and creativity into the aliens' rigid tactical protocols. The effect was devastating. Zarkax ships, their automated systems confused by conflicting commands that still followed proper protocols, began executing impossible maneuvers. Formation patterns shifted randomly as tactical computers tried to optimize for scenarios that changed faster than they could compute. "They're not just fighting us anymore," Dr. Chen explained, watching the chaos unfold. "They're fighting against their own nature, their need for order and predictability in a battle we've made fundamentally unpredictable." The human fleet, held in reserve until this moment, now moved to exploit the confusion. Ships crewed by Earth's finest pilots, their hybrid technology allowing them to navigate the quantum chaos, struck at key targets throughout the alien formation. Each vessel operated independently, its crew free to improvise and adapt as the situation demanded. The Zarkax tried to respond, but their responses only made things worse. Every attempt to impose order on the battle space was met with new forms of chaos. When they adjusted their shields to counter quantum fluctuations, humans switched to conventional weapons. When they hardened their computer systems against AI influence, humans introduced new variables that their tactical computers couldn't ignore. In the end, it wasn't a traditional victory. Instead of destroying the alien fleet, humanity had done something far more profound. They had shown the Zarkax the fundamental flaw in their approach to warfare, to technology, to existence itself. The aliens' surrender, when it came, was unprecedented in their history. But even more unprecedented was what followed. The Zarkax, for the first time in their civilization's memory, asked for something they had never needed before: teachers. "We have observed your species," their supreme commander transmitted to Earth. "You have shown us something we had forgotten was possible: the ability to change, to adapt, to see beyond established patterns. We request an exchange, not of technology or resources, but of ideas." Admiral Hayes stood in the United Nations Assembly 3 days later, addressing representatives from both species. "The Zarkax came to harvest our world," he began. "Instead, they discovered something far more valuable. They found a species that had never stopped learning, never stopped adapting, never accepted that there was only one way to solve a problem." Dr. Chen's final report to the Global Science Council summed up the war's greatest lesson. The Zarkax thought they were superior because they had perfected their technology. "We proved superior because we had never stopped imperfecting ours, never stopped questioning, modifying, and reimagining what was possible." Humanity had been forged in the fire of countless challenges throughout their history. The Zarkax invasion had simply been one more crucible, one more opportunity to demonstrate their greatest strength: the ability to take what exists and transform it into something new, something unexpected, something uniquely human. As the first joint human Zarkax research teams began their work, a new chapter in galactic history began. The species that had come to conquer now stayed to learn, and humanity stood ready to teach the galaxy a lesson they had learned through millennia of struggle and adaptation. True strength lies not in perfection, but in the endless pursuit of possibility.